Okay, so just a little update to my USB boot video that I did the other day. You do need the extra 14 files to be added to boot anything but the 64-bit version of Raspberry Pi OS. So this is Raspberry Pi OS 64-bit, and if I just shut it down, it is written to a USB stick. I'll just wait for the light to go out now. So this is a little SanDisk stick, and all I've done is just written the 64-bit version of Raspberry Pi OS to it, and it boots fine. This has the 32-bit version of Raspberry Pi OS. Now, if I plug it in with an SD card and plug it back in, you'll see that it boots fine. But it needs to go through the extra steps because it's never been booted before, so it has to do the resize the root file system and so on. There you go, so you can see that's booted up fine. So if I hit cancel just to get basically out of that setup procedure and shut that down. So if I now plug it into a USB adapter and try and boot that from the Pi, so it's booting from USB now, not the SD card. You can see that it comes up with the error. You only need to replace two files, which is recovery and start.elf, but I usually replace all 14 because they're more up-to-date files. And I'll put a link to these files on Google Drive, but also the GitHub. But if you go to the GitHub, you've got to download each individual file, put them in a folder, and then move them over. If you download my Google Drive files, then it will just work straight away. So let's switch that off. Take that out for now, but imagine this is your USB stick or your SSD drive, whatever USB device you have flashed your operating system to. I mean, I wouldn't bother using the 32-bit version of Raspberry Pi OS because the 64-bit version works really, really well. But if you are using, say, Retropie or Twister OS or any of the other operating systems that I mentioned in my Red USB boot video, then you are going to need to add these extra files. So let's show you how to do that. So let's plug in my SSD drive. So that's my, this is 64-bit Raspberry Pi OS. Let's just boot that up. Okay, so I can switch over to screen capture now. Okay, so in the description of this video, the green one, and I'll launch it so I can go to the description. Let me just pause that so the audio doesn't go over what I'm saying. If I scroll down, you'll see there's a Google Drive link, but I'll also put this link in the description of the video that you're watching now. So if I click on that, because weirdly the GitHub link has gone, I guess because it's maybe out of date or something, but at least you've got these 14 files you can download from Google Drive. You don't even need to sign in or anything, so just click download and you can see that's downloading now. So we click on here and show in folder. You can see the file that's just downloaded, right click on that and extract here. And you can see USB boot 14 files. Let's drag them to the desktop just because it's going to be easier there. Now what we need to do is plug in our USB device, whether that's an SSD or a USB stick, into the Pi, and this will come up. So we can close these because we don't know which one is which. And then we need to double click on the boot folder. So this is the boot folder of the new USB drive that you've just written. Again, you don't need to do this for 64-bit Raspberry Pi OS, but you do need to do it for various other things like Retropie, 32-bit Raspberry Pi OS, Twister OS, various other things. So open up those 14 files, drag over all of them, and pop them in that folder. And it will tell you that it's replacing the files. So just apply this to all of them and overwrite. You only really need two files, the recovery and the start, but I figured that as these are updated files and they work perfectly well for me, I always keep using what works. So let's close that down. Okay, so let's shut that down. Okay, so back on live camera mode. So I need to unplug my SSD drive because this is what I've already been using, and that's the 64-bit. This is 32-bit Raspbian, but this could be Retropie, Twister OS, or whatever operating system you're altering to do USB boot. And so now this needs to be the only operating system that it boots from, because this has had the 14 files changed. It will now work, fingers crossed. So plug it in, and we'll see if that alteration has made the difference that we need it to do. It's not stuck on that boot screen, so it looks like it's going to work fine. There you go. So it proves that it's the same one because I didn't change the border or do the proper setup or set up the Wi-Fi. So this is 32-bit Raspbian OS. So you do need the extra files for that. You do need it for Retropie, and you do need it for various other ones that I mentioned in my so the red USB boot video. I say the red one because it's got the red thumbnail on it. Okay, so I hope this helps. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe.